The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Some Sadducees, those who deny that there is a resurrection, came forward and put this question to Jesus, saying, "Teacher, Moses wrote for us, if someone's brother dies leaving a wife but no child, his brother must take the wife and raise up descendants for his brother. Now, there were 7 brothers. The first married a woman but died childless. Then the second and the third married her. Likewise, all 7 died childless. Finally, the woman also died. Now, at the resurrection, whose wife will that woman be? For all 7 had been married to her." Jesus said to them, "The children of this age marry and remarry, but those who are deemed worthy to attain to the coming age and to the resurrection of the dead neither marry nor are given in marriage. They can no longer die, for they are like angels, and they are the children of God, because they are the ones who will rise. That the dead will rise, even Moses made known in the passage about the bush, when he called out, 'Lord, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob.' And he is not the God of the dead, but of the living. For to him all are alive." The Gospel of the Lord. In a parish in my distant past, long ago and far away, well, not that far, but maybe not that long either, but I became friends, very close friends, with an older couple, senior citizens. They were elderly at a time before I would consider myself elderly. And when I knew them, when I got to know them, before I got to know them, the wife had had a stroke, and she had a very difficult time getting around and caring for herself, and so her husband cared for her. In addition to caring for her in her infirmity, and I think she probably lived at least 10 to 15 years after she had the stroke, so they very much grew old together, living in their house until the kind of very close to the last days. Anyway, when she died, he who had not only cared for all of her needs for many years, but so much throughout his whole retirement, his whole life, had been deeply, deeply dedicated to her, mourned and grieved deeply and almost inconsolably. He could not be really consoled. But at the heart of his grief was the fear that he would never see her again, that he would never know her in eternity. And very definitely, a passage like this in this gospel wasn't too consoling to him, because he wanted to spend all of eternity in the same kind of loving relationship with her that he had spent so many years in this life. And so, while Scripture can often be a consolation, certain passages may be more troubling than consoling, and this one certainly was for him. The difficulty that he had was with so many billions of people in heaven. How was he going to recognize her? How would he find her? And so I could only assure him that the God who loved both of them through their lives was not going to allow to end in frustration the love that had been his gift to them and their gift to one another. That would not be and could not be destroyed or undone, but would be brought to fulfillment. And I think the proper way of understanding this passage, and it has many meanings, but the meaning regarding the relationship of this life and the relationships that we form in this life and the promise of God in eternity is that nothing of good that is built up in this life is undone in eternity. Rather, it is fulfilled. And so what we have to look forward to, and I kept assuring him, what we have to look forward to is not a rupture, is not a separation from the gifts of this life, but a fulfillment of them. We do have to be prepared not to step back, not so much even to step out of this life, but to step forward from this life. Theologians will often say, in looking at Scripture and the scriptural accounts of Jesus' resurrection as the model for our resurrection, is that it is not a resuscitation. Jesus did not come back to life. He went forward into life. And our tradition also depicts him, that kind of troubling little statement in the Apostles' Creed that says he descended into hell. The reason why he descended into the abode of the dead, where those who were faithful before he came, he could raise them up. He would go down and raise them up with him into this new life in union with God. So what does our hope consist in? Basically, our hope consists in the fulfillment of God's promise that whatever is good in our lives in this life, including our dearest relationships, will not be abandoned, but will be fulfilled in ways beyond our powers of imagining. I think that needs to be the content of our faith, the faith that sustains our hope.